Hello, this is Dr. Saurabh Patwardhan from Nandadeep Eye Hospital, Sangli, India. And in this video, I'll be discussing about the toric troubleshooting. What can be done after we have a refractive surprise after toric IL. So when we get a patient with a kind of keratometry like this, where there is cylinder of 4 diopters, obviously any ophthalmologist is geared up to do a nice toric IOL so as to give perfect vision to the patient. So you start reassuring the patient about the great vision in the post-operative period and you go ahead with the toric IL surgery. You have done a perfect surgery on table, you are already dreaming that the patient is going to get the perfect outcome and going to be happy, but sometimes this happens. What we intended and what happened. So there is a murder of our respect and confidence in front of our patient. When there is a homicide, we have to call the best detective in the world. So when we start assuming something, that's the starting of failure. So let's start from the beginning. So let's reconfirm whether whatever we have done pre-operatively was correct or not. Sometimes we get wrong keratometry because of warped cornea like contact lens use, or there may be corneal haze, use of some paracanalic drops or dry eye or contact procedure done before the keratometry pre-operatively, and topography was either not done or not done properly, like if there is a wrong head posture while doing topography, or if it is an irregular cornea, it itself may give rise to erroneous readings, and if you have missed that, you may land up with surprise. Also reconfirm the calculation. Check whether you have entered the data correctly, you have got the right printout for the right patient, and whether you have used the right formula. And believe me, this can go wrong sometimes, where instead of 0 degree you enter 90 degree as flat axis and you get a IOL placed 90 degree apart. Also have a look at surgically induced astigmatism. If you haven't calculated it, use this website to calculate your SIA. But remember, SIA is just a mean of different values and there will be outliers. Particularly in cases where you have taken incision right through a scar, or you are operating on a thinner cornea and you have made an incision which is too central, you may have erroneously high SIA. So in the post-operative period you have to check that whether that was one of the causes for the surprise. Now by this time our optom is quite angry with us because there was no mistake from his side in this case, everything was perfect. So what was the problem? So we have to check the IL position where we did something wrong in that. So to check that on slit lamp, you just have to use a thin slit beam and then you can rotate this beam and align it in case with dilated pupil along the toric IL marks and check the actual position of the IOL in degrees. And there is a better way to do it using the iToric Android app. You just take a good retro image on autorefractometer using infrared and then you can check the exact position of the IOL. You can do the same thing with a costlier machine like iTrace. Of course the iToric is free of charge. Another important thing is to do good post-operative refraction, not just subjective one but also objective one. Do good retinoscopy and autorefractometry because this is going to decide whether I need to exchange the IOL or I can just rotate the IOL and do good. So if you have very high spherical equivalent in the post-operative period, exchange might be needed because just rotating the IOL may not be sufficient. Now when you have this kind of surprise, you think, am I the only guilty one to have such kind of refractive errors? Just to remind you that all over the world, the data suggests that only 70% patients achieve more than 20 by 25 vision. So there will be some residual error left in 30% patients. Of course, you need to realign the IOL only if it goes beyond 10 degree, and on an average, if you see 1 out of 100 toric IOL needs readjustment. Another important study which is important for our case, is that repositioning should be performed after 1 week. If you do it very early, there is a chance that it may re-rotate. So when should it be rotated? Less than 8 weeks post-operatively is easier to correct. Of course, in individual case you can do it later also, and always better to wait for 3 weeks for the capsule to become little more sticky and then rotate the IOL. Now, how much to rotate? It's a difficult question unless you are a champion mathematician. But we have these websites by Dr. Alpins, www.assort.com, or there is another website astigmatismfix.com. There is a analyzer by Dr. Barrett on ASCRS website to check the toric results. So you can use either of these. You have to enter the correct data and you can get the advice from this website. So let's look at this patient which I was mentioning about. So a perfect patient for toric IOL. I selected the lens properly using the online calculator. Surgery was uneventful, that's what I thought. And the post-operative refraction, see the amount of cylinder which was left, -9 diopter. So I used this website assort.com. I entered all the post-operative data. We have to enter the post-operative keratometry. We have to enter which IOL was placed, which model and which cylinder power was placed inside the eye, and then we have to enter exactly what is the axis at which the IOL is lying here. So here the IOL was at 160 degree, and then I entered the objective refractive error in the post-operative period, and what this site is telling me is that I have to rotate this IOL 85 degrees counterclockwise. Wow, that's a huge rotation that I have to do. So what did I miss this? This website will also tell us when you start rotating this IOL how the astigmatism is going to decrease. So if you see the present position of the IOL, you will find that there is 9 diopter of astigmatism, and as you rotate it 85 degrees you will have closer to 0.5 to 1 diopter astigmatism. So that's great. So where did I go wrong here? So in the pre-operative sheet which was given to me, the IOL was supposed to be placed at 63 degree and I just placed it at 163 degree. Because why? Because my fellow said something and I heard 163, so I placed it at 163. So believe me, we can go wrong in such a manner also. Nonetheless, lessons learned. So I decided to take up this patient 3 weeks post-operatively. This is a hydrophilic plate haptic design. So you can mark the new axis which is 65 degree here by marking the 0 180 degree using the eye toric marker, or simply you can measure 85 degrees counterclockwise from the position of the IOL, which doesn't require any reference marking. Then we have to separate the anterior and posterior capsule. You can use the iris spatula. You can also use the cohesive viscoelastic agent to split or cleave the anterior and posterior capsule. And if you are doing it within 2 months, I think it is quite easy to do it. Later there might be some fibrosis and you have to be careful. So once that is done, I am rotating the IOL slowly to its desired position. Once again confirming I don't want another procedure in this eye, and yeah, this is what I got. Very little refractive error and 6/6. The patient is very happy. So I think even if you get the worst kind of refractive surprises, you can tackle it very well. To complete the list, there are other methods to deal with the compound astigmatic error or spherical surprises post-toric IOLs. We can simply do corneal refractive procedure like surface ablation, femtoLASIK or SMILE. We can also do a piggyback IOL like Cercoflex to take care of the residual refractive error. So if the error cannot be corrected by rotation of the IOL, I think we can do this. We can also exchange the old IOL and implant the properly calculated IOL to take care of the refractive error, and there are many other ways to do that. So thank you very much for your kind listening.